Oil spiking, markets are crashing, and Iran's retaliation threats are shaking everything up. Want to know what went down this weekend and which stocks are about to moon? Smash that like button and stick with me because I'm dropping the hottest trading plays for this week. And stick with me to the end where I give you guys top stock picks for this week and some plays. Let's get started. So, US airstrikes on Iran on June 22nd. The US launched Operation Midnight Hammer, striking 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. I'm not even going to try to pronounce them, but it's 3 of their facilities with B-2 bombers using bunker buster bombs and cruise missiles. US and Israel officials claim extreme damage, while Iran downplays the impact. Iranian retaliation over the weekend and into Monday, Iran fired missiles and drones at Israel, wounding dozens and triggering air raid sirens. Israel air defense intercepted many of those missiles and drones. Regional escalation and response. Iran vows all options, including targeting U.S. regional bases and possibly closing the Strait of Hormuz, which is one of the biggest oil routes for trade and can really mess up a lot of other countries as well. So keep that in mind, and this can bring oil prices up. The U.S. beefed up evacuation efforts, thousands of citizens, and issued worldwide travel warnings. Political fallout. President Trump hinted at regime change in Tehran. Domestically, Republicans largely support the strikes, while Democrats and some GOP members criticize the legality and potential for a broader war overall. We've seen oil prices soar to 88 a barrel, but it's not really as high as we were at previously. But it boosted energy stocks like ExxonMobil and USO and Chevron, stuff like that. So keep these ones on your radar, especially if we get more news like bad news to say, oil prices will start spiking. But if we get better news like ceasefire talks, it can bring oil prices down. So you can play this both ways. But airlines like American Airlines dropped 3%. We also have Apple kind of holding up strong, holding that 200 level. So kind of pumped to see that. For anyone that's trying to take their trading to the next level, made a website with a bunch of courses that you guys can check out. First link in the description below. Check it out if you guys want to up your knowledge on the stock market. Relatively cheap courses, and we have sales going on. So check them out while the sales is still happening. So market closed on Friday down. The Dow fell 0.6%, S&P 0.8%, and the Nasdaq 1.2%, down a decent amount. Hit by tech losses like Nvidia on chip ban fears. So Nvidia did kind of itch down a little bit, but I'm kind of pumped to see where it goes if we're going to itch down lower and or higher. So keep that on your radar, Nvidia, because it can go back up. We also had Tesla bucked up the trend, up 2% pre-market on a 600 million AI chip deal. And we also got some news with the robotaxi finally launched. Starting price $4.20, which is insane. I'm pumped to see where robotaxi will take the stock. It could bring them in a lot of revenue. And honestly, I'm just pumped to see how it works. But there can be bad news like deaths or something like that related to the robotaxi. And that could bring down Tesla's stock overall and maybe even scratch this whole robotaxi deal. But gold hit 3,420 as a safe haven, but right now currently trading at $3,353. And we do got Citibank coming out saying that we might have a tiny little pullback below that 3,000 level. So keep that in mind for gold overall. And trading GLD, you can make a decent amount of money, especially to the downside. But the VIX spiked to $23, but now we're currently trading at like 20 right now, but that was just a spike. Signaling fear. Friday's PCE index rose 0.1% monthly, 2.2% yearly, slightly above Fed's 2% target, dimming rate cut hopes. Markets are bracing for a rough Monday open. But you may be wondering, what should you watch for this week for the stock market? So first off, of course, big news. So like the Israel and Iran war, watch U.S. involvement, and any retaliation Iran may have can shift the U.S. stock market. Also, if the Strait of Hormuz gets hit or U.S. escalates, oil could hit 100 plus, juicing energy stocks like ExxonMobil, but crushing airlines even more and retailers like AAL and TGT. Ceasefire talks hinted at by the UN efforts could tank oil and defense stocks, so keep that in mind overall. Could tank it overnight. Let's talk about some events. So a stock calendar. So Monday, today, we have PMI and existing home sales. Tuesday, we have home price index and consumer confidence. And we also have Jerome coming out. Then on Wednesday, we have new home sales. Thursday, we have some trade data, initial jobless claims, GDP, and pending home sales. Then finally, Friday, we have some consumer sentiment, personal income, and PCE. Weak data could fuel rate cut hopes, lifting markets, while strong numbers could stoke inflation fears with oil surge. So we also have some news that they really want to close down the Strait of Hormuz with the U.S. attack, and U.S. is honestly getting to China as well to kind of convince them not, because if so, this can tank the market overall and bring up oil prices. So honestly, let's just see more news, watch news on the Strait of Hormuz, see if we can officially get it shut down or officially not get it shut down. This could really move markets a decent amount. And like I said before, Tesla launches the Taxi rides in Austin with big promises and unanswered questions. But a lot of people are riding it. A lot of people got good reviews so far. So honestly, it is looking pretty good. So keep this on your mind and on your radar for Tesla stock overall. But now let's get to some sports and resistance and some stocks to watch. First one on my radar is going to be AMD, just because, man, the price action is pretty decent, pretty volatile. We are kind of up and down, but we did break past the decent levels, making some new highs for this week or last week at that 132 level. So I'm going to try to scope in a play at that 126 potentially, and maybe playing a call option, just depending on how it reacts to this level. If it breaks below it, I'm going to have my patience because it can fill some gaps downwards. So have your patience, take your time. But if you get at 126, you might be able to get like a 130 sell or something like that. So keep AMD on your radar. Next one is going to be Boeing. Boeing has been looking pretty bearish in the short term. Some bad news coming out. So I'm watching that 197. If we break below that, we might have some bigger breaks to the downside for Boeing overall. And or if we can bounce off of it, we might get another push to that 200 to that 202 level. So keep Boeing on your radar. Next one is going to be SPY. Some key levels that I'm personally watching is going to be that 600. If we can break above that again, you're going to be looking at 601.5, 602.5, 603.5, 605, and that 610 level for SPY. But honestly, I think we need better news. Maybe some good news with trade and some peace talks, honestly, can bring SPY up overall. But if we start selling off, I'm going to be looking at that 592 level. Break below that, 590, 589, 588, and that 585 level to the downside for the SPY. Next is going to be Apple, currently trading at 200. But with that being said, I do want to see if we can break up again, get up to like that 201 to 201.5, 202, 203.5, and that 205 level for Apple. I do have a call option over the weekend. And honestly, I bought it at the lows, so it's still in the money. So I'm kind of pumped up to see what we open up at. Hopefully, we can open up greener. But with that being said, markets might sell off, and then you might see a little bit of a spike up, back up to some decent levels, and or we might just start selling off more. Just depends on how this war goes. We don't really have too big of a retaliation, like not really anything obvious, like no attacks on US bases or anything like that. So it's not really looking too bad right now, but honestly, it can escalate and it can escalate fast. Next one is going to be NVIDIA. We have been looking kind of bearish or just bearish news. So do watch that 141 level. If you break below that, look at 140, 138.5, and that 135 level to the downside. But 141 and 140 is going to be key levels to watch for NVIDIA. If we do start breaking back up, look at that 145.5. And then past that, look at 147 and 150 for NVIDIA overall. Next one, man, Bitcoin. So honestly, Bitcoin is honestly showing that the market is kind of growing back, gaining back some of those losses. Like Bitcoin this weekend, we sold off a decent amount, especially after the US getting involved. But with that being said, if we could break above that 103 to that 105, we could see some momentum back up to the upside. You could trade some short-term plays. One play or one stock or ETF that I recommend looking at is IBIT. You can make a decent amount of money up or down, just depending on where Bitcoin moves. And the plays are relatively cheap. We go to the options and just look at like June 30th. You know, it's like $200 for in the money plays, and you're not really risking too much money. So I do recommend looking at this. Other stocks to trade can be MSTR. MSTR moves exactly with it. Coinbase, we recently had a rally with Coinbase, CRCL, and some other ones. But Circle is another one to watch as well. But it can start moving with Bitcoin and crypto overall. It's just getting some pumped up right now, some pumped up hype. So if we do break below that 100K once again, you might be able to see the stock sell off a decent amount. But keep Circle on your radar because we are still looking pretty bullish with it overall. And honestly, it's a pretty good play. All that being said, man, let's get to the play, some stocks to trade for this week, and what is really going to be moving and making you some money. So first off, with oil prices spiking, we can get a sell-off with oil prices as well. So you can also play a put option on this. But ExxonMobil moves with oil prices, big oil refinery company, honestly big company overall. But look at XOM, ExxonMobil. Next is going to be RTX, Raytheon. Basically, just a defense stocks, and they're soaring with the U.S. and Iran escalation. They have high option flows, and a 4% daily range are great for day trading overall. Next one is going to be CrowdStrike Holdings, CRWD, and basically just into cyber threats and cybersecurity. And honestly, getting into this war, we can be big on cyber threats. We've seen Iran actually suffer from a cyber threat themselves, and the US can also suffer from cyber attacks. So look at CrowdStrike and have it on your radar in case any of this happens. Next one's going to be GLD, but also keep in mind, like I said before, City is saying gold rally is done for. It will bounce below that 3,000, but it's also a safe haven, so it can swing both ways. So keep GLD on your radar, especially if you do start seeing a sell off. You can play put options on it, but if you see it go back up to the highs, you can get potential plays all the way up to like that 317, maybe even 314, but you make some decent plays with GLD overall. Next one's going to be Tesla, just because of the hype with their pre-market on the 600 million AI chip deal and the new rubber taxi launch. Tesla is a great stock to watch right now. And once it starts moving, it starts rallying in a good way. We've just been bouncing between that 310 to that 335 level. So if we can break above or below, you can make some decent plays off Tesla overall. But with that being said, man, that's your trading roadmap for today. Energy, defense, and gold are getting pretty decent right now, but keep those stops tight. This market is insane right now. Check my website blog for more stock picks and news. Drop your top stock trades in the comments and smash that like button and subscribe button. Let us get to 500 subs. Let's stack those profits. Let me know how much money you guys made today. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. I'm also coming out with daily blogs to update you guys with the stock market before I even make these videos. So if you guys want early news, early stock plays, and things to watch, check out the site as well. This is completely free. Just go into the website, go into Creator's blog. You guys can check it out if you guys want.